foremost, just, giving glory to God for giving us just enough. And what is enough, I don't know, but he provided us with just enough. And I think second, give Fred Hoiberg and that team a ton of credit. I mean, what a tremendous fight that they showed. That was an incredible game. And, two teams obviously fighting with all they have, and big time shot making on both sides. And lastly, give our fans a ton of credit for coming to a 9 o'clock tip and then staying, all right, for double overtime. So I thought that was really special, and we needed every single person in here to help us get through to the finish line. So with that, we'll open up questions, and since Gary's not here, we'll go. He always picks you, Adam. I'm gonna pick someone different. Let's start on the other side.
All right, let's go, Connor.
Jake, since you've had the head job, has there been a game where you've ended the game and you've been more proud of your guys?
Boy, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think, a couple come to mind, certainly. I think at Purdue, and we know how tough it is to win there and to come back when they, and then they take the lead, we take the lead. I mean, that comes by, but this is special. That's probably an out of season question when I got some time to really think and reflect on that. But this was special. It was, because, it could have went the other way there a few times. We could have iced it maybe earlier, but it just, our guys kept fighting and they played together. I thought we were connected, even though we had some defensive breakdowns there that led to some easy baskets. I just felt like there was a real connection, with our group. So I am very proud of that, because that's something we've been preaching and talking about now, really all season, but especially here these last few games.
After the Indiana game, when I asked you if this was basically if you guys had it in the bounce back after falling 2-5 in the Big Ten, or was it going to fold basically? You said, yeah, these guys have the stuff in them to stick it out. Does that feel like it's been validated now? You're at the very last game of the season, you're playing meaningful basketball into the middle of March.
Yeah, I think and there will be a time to reflect more generally, but I am proud of what this group has overcome. And it's been a lot, and it's, not all of that always kind of gets out publicly, of just all the stuff our guys have dealt with and not knowing maybe who's going to be available for practice even, let alone, game day. So I am proud a great deal of, in year one of this new program, establishing, toughness and fight and competitiveness and playing together. So I am proud of that, because we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't have that stuff. So, I think we've shown a great deal of that, and I am proud. Like, welcome back, Gary. We kind of started without you. I started on this side.
They said
since
your
you
wife
were
took you down here, so I figured you were all set.
You can take over now, though. I did my part. Go ahead. Next.
We'll go with Andy.
All right, I guess we're going right to left. I wanted to start with Sean, because obviously he fouled out, but I thought it was one of his more complete games that he's played. And there's a lot of stars from this one. It was a chaotic game, but so what did you see from him tonight?
I agree. I thought, he was really productive in 18 minutes, and certainly points, but rebounds, and he had some really good individual defensive plays. And so I thought he played really good, and it was important for us. I thought Aaron gave us some really good minutes, as well. And talked about it from the beginning of the year. Those guys are going to continue to grow as long as this season goes on, and we're going to need them to. And I thought both of them took a step forward tonight, and it was important for us.
You, Nebraska, entered this game very similar places along the NCAA tournament bubble. This felt like a do-or-die game for both sides in some ways, as it pertains to the NCAA tournament. When you get down like you did at the start of the first overtime after leading most of the entire game, you talk about fight with this team constantly. But I guess, has there ever been, going back to part of what Connor asked, has there ever been a better embodiment of that than to lead most of the game, you get down to start overtime, and then you are able to bounce back and overcome it with all of that on the line?
Yeah, I thought it was a great, that moment, that segment was a great representation of what this program is about. And, you know, I want guys to be aggressive. I don't want us to flinch. I don't want us to play safe. And this group has bought into that, especially here the last, couple months. And, I think the way we did it was just a fight together, which probably makes me even most proud is, we had four guys score over 20 points, and it took everybody. So I thought that moment was critical, that segment.
John Wooden said be quick but never hurry. Watching this team tonight, it seemed like you guys had manifested in this team that, especially I think Micah on that three, he took his good old time. There was no panic, no rush. Is being in these situations a lot? How much does that contribute to just sort of not, panic's a strong word, but just not rushing?
Yeah. Well, I think, starting to see, and listen, Mike, I know Mike has played a lot of college basketball, but we've asked him to do more than he had ever had to do in his career. And that was part of, why he wanted to come here. And we have a lot of a lot of young players and inexperienced players who are playing really impactful minutes for us. And I think you've seen as the year has gone on, we have played with more poise. And especially at the end of games, our execution has gotten better. We, again, executed really well tonight down the stretch. I guess when you say down the stretch, you're talking about multiple segments, right? So, I guess add this to the list of one possession games that we've seen this year. And, I think going through those so many times has given us a confidence, a collective confidence, that where guys can look at each other and we can lock eyes in a huddle and just know we've been here before and we've been successful in these moments, particularly lately. So I think that all played a factor.
How do you relieve pressure on this team? I mean, they're saying that you're never loose. You're always intense, but I've heard differently. So I don't know if they're just trying to kiss up or what the deal is.
I think you can be intense and loose at the same time. We've just talked about staying in the moment, stay in the moment and live in the moment and give it all you got. And we keep the message has been, especially these last 3 games, just fight and play together. Just fight and play together. And, I don't think they can look out there or they can look at practice and feel that I'm coaching, differently. And I don't want them to. We want to play. We've operated all year with urgency in this program. We've practiced being our best late all season, all the way back to June. And, so I want our guys to live in the moment. This basketball. Joy is one of the values of our program. And we need to have that. Even though I'm intense and passionate and fiery, it's from a place of joy. And I think our guys are playing with a great deal of joy. And listen, our guys get fiery too, and I love that. I love the passion we're playing with right now.
Last thing, is there a difference between urgency and desperation?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think so. I think there is a difference, but I think we got to keep our focus on the urgency, and that leads you to where you want to go. And so we're not asking guys to do anything right now that we haven't practiced for and prepared for. And I think that's why we've been able to play the way we've played the last couple games.
You got it, go ahead. Go ahead, Nick.
So I've only ever been to one of their home games, so I don't know the full routine of it.
Did we win that game, Mick?
We won't talk about that.
Okay, I was gonna say, if we did and you'd only been to 2, you and I would have a talk after this.
But you grabbed the mic after the final buzzer sounds and you said something like, what was the motivation behind that? Why do you feel like it needed to be said there?
Because I thought the people in here were really impactful. And listen, I got 4 kids under 6, so I know the impact of a late game and people staying late and so I was thankful and grateful. I thought our student section was really good, and it would have been very simple for people to leave early, but they stayed and they supported us, and it was impactful. So I felt like they needed to hear that.
What does it mean to know that they were still there? I know obviously there's been some ups and downs this season, but to know double overtime, final game, not 11 o'clock, whatever it was, that they were still there cheering you guys on. I felt like honestly double overtime might have been louder than times in the first half or even in regulation.
Yeah, well, we find a way to keep it interesting, it seems, and make it really, really close, but I thought the energy, especially there, you know, late in the first or in the second half and through both overtimes warranted an opportunity for me to just share my gratitude for what the impact that was had, and I think our players fed off of it, and I'm sure there were some fans that were tired. I know our guys were gassed, but it was just the whole building felt like it had just enough, and we needed it.
We won't have a chance to talk to you, it doesn't seem, before Saturday. Just looking at the standings, it's obvious that the winner of the game is the 9 seed and advances to the second round. The loser of the game will be the 10 seed. We'll have to play on Wednesday, so.
I didn't know that, Steve, so
Now you know.
appreciate that.
The stakes are extremely high in that regard, as well as the NCAA possibilities of another quad 1 win on the road. Just, I know, 20 minutes after finishing the craziest game you've ever coached, just your thought about what's in store for you when you go to one of the toughest places.
Yeah, it's a fair question, and it's obviously a really tough environment to play in, but we've shown we can handle it. And, you know, I think, listen, with how difficult this league is, and, you know, the quality of opponent night in and night out, I just find it really hard to believe that, you know, everybody's season is on the line every single game when you have so many opportunities, even going into the Big Ten tournament. That's not to diminish how important the game is. I haven't shied away from that for what feels like been going on for a while. But again, I just want our guys to live in the moment, prepare well, put our best foot forward like we have, and you know that's the most important thing, because by doing that you position yourself to get the result you want. And so that's got to be our focus. And listen, this team deserves, and I don't know exactly what the number is, but this league deserves a lot of teams in the tournament. It does. And if you're hovering, you know, close to 500 in this league, like you've walked away with some really impressive wins. And I think so. However that shakes out, Steve, I guess we should be having whatever the 10, 11, I don't know what the number is, you know, of what they're looking at, but we should be having the max of that in the tournament, I believe, because of the quality of teams, the quality of wins our league had outside of the Big Ten.
You talk about connectivity a lot. Those 3-pointers that you hit, the second overtime, the ball was moving.
Yeah.
One's late in regulation that kept you in it, and everything else. Just how important was that tonight? That it wasn't necessarily one-on-one basketball. It was getting the ball to the open guy and making the extra pass.
Yeah, really important, and that's been an area of growth for us as the season has gone on. And I think you look at a couple of these last games, our assist numbers have been good, and you know that's part of it's part of a new team, new system, and guys getting used to playing with each other. And you know I think the last month or so we've really seen us do that at our best, and it's going to be important. You know, we got to keep playing with pace in the half court, and the ball, you know, moves faster in the air than a lot of times when it's on the ground. So we want to keep looking for that.
Stay back, no identification.
Jamie, can you put into words the feeling of being a coach and watching your team in the last possession, a do or die moment? Like, what are you feeling?
You know, I've never really reflected on kind of what that feels like, but you know, I think the biggest thing for me is you know there's an obvious excitement, I think, and I want us to always like play to win and swing big. And you know, I love that our guys have that mentality. You don't see this team, you know, hesitating. Rarely do we hesitate or kind of look over our shoulder. We play aggressive. So I just want to make sure we're always operating with that mentality. And then basketball is a beautiful game that I've been involved with my entire life from the time I could walk. So as exhausting and stressful these one possession games are, it's a lot of fun too. And you know, I think you gotta, like I tell our guys, you gotta live in the moment.
I want to ask you real quick about there were 52 fouls, I think, by both teams combined in this game. How does that change throughout the game from a coaching perspective, and what do you have to do differently down the stretch, knowing how the game is being called?
Yeah, I thought it was a well officiated game. I mean, listen, it's a tall task for what the officials in this league have to do, and there's so many good players and good defenders, and you know, the biggest thing you want as a coach is consistency, so you can adjust to how the game's being called. And you know, I thought this game was called pretty consistent. You know, I'm sure they're not perfect, just like we're not perfect, but you know, I felt like there were moments where we bailed them out with kind of swiping down and some undisciplined technique. But you know, I also thought there were some times where we had great technique and maybe got a little unlucky. So all in all, I thought it was a physical Big Ten game that was, you know, both teams got to the free throw line. Obviously the fouling, you know, at the end impacted things, but both teams were aggressive to the paint, and you know, it's kind of part of it. It's a tall task for those guys, there's no question.
Patrick may counter.
Yeah, it almost seemed that
Don't forget Adam, I skipped him to start, so just make sure. Okay.
I didn't say
Yeah.
we were done.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it seemed at times like Bruce was almost like willing you guys through certain
Yeah.
segments, like diving for loose balls.
Yep.
Just really intense, and just seemed like he was kind of leading that charge. I guess, was there like a special like look in his eye that you noticed today, or different mentality at all? Like what was his mentality heading to this game?
Well, I think he had it against USC too. And when I evaluate Bruce's leadership, and make no mistake, he's always a good leader, but when he becomes a great leader is when he's using his voice throughout the course of the game. And he did it tonight. He did it in timeouts, he did it in between plays, and he was holding guys accountable at times. I mean, I just, and there was a passion to it, which, you know, obviously I love. So I thought his leadership tonight was great. I thought it was great last game. Baseline for him is always going to be leading by example, and he does it so well, right? But when he's using his voice like he has, it does help will us to be successful, and it's something that he's grown in, and I'm really proud of him for that, because he and I've had a lot of conversations about that, and he's embraced it, and he can do it. He can do it and play at a really high level. It's what makes special players special.
I think by the end of the double overtime game, the senior day stuff kind of got lost in the wash a little bit. Talking about Kalen specifically, they showed the video of him talking when he was a freshman about since he was little, he just wanted to play for the Buckeyes. Can you give people a peek behind the curtain of the stuff that Kalen does for the program that they don't see if they just come and just watch the games?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because, and obviously, when guys join a program for their last year coming from another program, it's different. Senior night has become different because you have more examples like that. But you know, for Mike and Quez to be able to play their last home game, I think that's important, and for them to trust, you know, and come here, right? Like, I think it says a lot. But when you look at Kalen specifically, and first off, you know, Kalen's a joy to be around, and he shows up every day. Every day he shows up, and he has an important role on this team, and he's embraced it. And no one ever gets to see how important that is. But when we do scout team and we prep, it is, and he's learning 10 to 15 new plays when you include out of bounds under and you know, I'm expecting him to operate and run them exactly right, and you know, so it's what he has to do is challenging. And a lot of people could become frustrated and not do that well because, you know, maybe they wanted to play more or whatever, but he shows up every day and he does it to the best of his ability, and he cares deeply about this program and university, and he's poured just as much as anybody else into it. And this program will take care of him because of that. He'll always be a part of the Ohio State basketball family and, you know, achieve what was so important to him growing up. And he's treated people well, he's worked extremely hard, and this program and this place finds a way of taking care of those people. So I'm so excited. He's going to be successful in whatever he decides to do because of the way he approached, and specifically this year, the way he approached every day. He needs a job or an interview, he can count on me for a reference.
All right, Adam.
Sorry, Adam. Yeah.
Everyone kind of hit the big picture stuff, so looking at this game specifically, you guys had a stretch where they scored on 13 straight possessions. Defensively, I know like there's been some issues these last couple of games. Your offense has been able to overcome it. Do you come out of this more happy that your offense, or maybe concerned a little bit about where your defense is as you head into, you know, another really important game?
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, I know.
I'm happy we won, but yeah, there's some things we need to address defensively. And, you know, I think the good thing is, right, we've shown growth where one end isn't necessarily affecting the other, and that's important. But, you know, coming off of what was a really, really good defensive performance at UCLA on their court, I think we held them to maybe 40%, roughly. You know, obviously we struggled to make shots that game, but, you know, we did some really good things defensively there. Obviously, USC shot the ball way too well. Nebraska's field goal percentage was too good, and you know, some of that was on the offensive glass and the fouls. So, yes, you know, I hope this isn't the last question of the night, because maybe someone could ask me a happier question. But, you know, it is something that we'll continue to watch, learn from, and grow from, because you guys know, I mean, it's too important, and we got to be better. And I got great confidence we will.
Well, what do you think, maybe on a lighter note, what do you think you're gonna take most from a night like this? I mean, like, when you walk out of here, what's gonna be the first thing on your mind, do you think?
Yeah, I hope our guys are getting rest. That's the first thing probably is, you know, hopefully they're getting some sleep and resting so we can start our recovery tonight, because that's gonna be important. And then I'm just, you know, I think I'm really proud because it felt like the culture and foundation of our program, you know, was the reason we won this game. Certainly guys had to make individual plays, but the things we want to be about and talk about, you know, in this program, and listen, players make plays, I'll be the first to tell you, but the things we talk about on a daily basis, playing with joy, the toughness, the connectedness, you know, the urgency, being your best late, being a great teammate, you know, dominating hustle plays. It felt like we were first to the floor most every time, and hustle plays like those things, you know, I'm proud of, and reflecting that we, you know, the culture and the foundation we're laying, you know, for this program moving forward was represented well tonight. All right, everybody, is that clock right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's up in a quarter.
No.
That's actually 2 minutes slow.
Yeah.
All right, everybody go get some
It's actually
sleep.
12:40.